Get your ass to Hollywood, and also, get yourself a career, and write yourself a show. I mean, also, I would love to see a show that didn't use the word motherfucker, that did bullshit. This is our show, and you can learn from what we did wrong to do your show right. I'll also add that I did not say we're only preaching to the converted. What I said was, and I said this last year, and I don't think people really understand me, but I believe that your job in the world is to tell the truth as you see it. And if you start thinking that you can manipulate other people and speak to them in their terms, that always gets close to condescension to me. And that's what I said. But listen, I am all for, there should be a show. There should be a network of skeptics. There should be a JREF network. And on that show, there should be bullshit at the end of the day. And down there, through there should be your dickless show. All of that stuff should be there. I really mean that. I mean, I wanted to go for the joke, but I really believe that.
Well also, let me say this. I have noticed from people who come to our show that there is a whole group of people who have never, ever before listened to the very dignified skeptical movement, who are now enthusiastic fans of it, because this is not, we weren't going for this, but we have ended up talking to people who haven't listened to this movement before.
Are you libertarian primarily due to personal philosophy, or also...
It's my religion.
And is it also driven by your opinion, if it is, that a libertarian system is the best way to create wealth and alleviate problems of poverty through property rights and all those things?
I don't understand the either or. You know,
there are some libertarians who are basically pot smokers who don't want to pay taxes. That might be capital L Libertarian
I'm one of those.
Party. Okay. And there are others who are driven more by an academic interest in what they believe is the best system of bringing quality of wealth and health to society.
When I said I was one of those, I meant I'm not a pot smoker, but I don't want to pay taxes. I didn't mean I'm one of those as a pot smoker who doesn't want to pay taxes. I want to make that clear, because after being sober for 50 years, there's no reason to get a reputation as a pothead. But I don't know. The stuff that I read about politics, the stuff that I see about politics, I believe people are basically good. I believe the idea of personal property, I believe all that is important. How I make my political beliefs is very hard to lay out. I mean, at one point, years and years ago, I was much more lefty type Democrat type. I tend to have a real leaning toward people being good, toward a huge amount of freedom, and toward ownership, and that's led me toward this. But my chances of being wrong about politics are so much higher than my chance about being wrong about religion, and I was probably wrong about that, and I was wrong about secondhand smoke. So really, when we say we're libertarians, it does inform a lot of what we do in the show, but you know, as far as a whole thing, we're not the ones to defend that. At least I'm not. Take a shot. Last question. Pick well, Kramer. Pick well. Follow your heart, Kramer. He's picked well.
Hi, Penn. Hi, Teller. This question is actually directed towards Penn. First, congratulations on getting married.
Well, thank you.
Secondly, it's kind of a follow-on question and maybe personal, but I assume that maybe you might be thinking about having children. And if you are, what would your approach be to introducing your children to skepticism and maybe atheism? What's your opinion about that?
My wife, Emily, easy, very worried. She's back there. She's sitting down. We want to at least stand up, because maybe if Travis helps, you can stand on the chair and they can tell that you're knocked up. My wife is 4 months pregnant. But she had big tits to start with. It's a test tube baby. It was IVF, and it is a girl, and her name will be Moxie Crime Fighter Gillette, which I think answers a lot of your questions. I was asked by Chip Denman, who many of you know, when I was speaking to his class, what I would do about Santa Claus with my daughter, how I would introduce her to that or how I would deal with that issue. And it's very easy, I think, in a situation like this to state things really strong and go for the laugh and go on to that and try to make things very, very clear, because in this kind of situation with this many people around, people will react and find mistakes in what I say. And so if I go off half-cocked, if I'm a loose cannon, I'm buffered a little bit, I'm protected a little bit by being a nut. When you're dealing with another human being, like your son or daughter, that counts on you and doesn't have the network that adults have, I think you have to try to learn an awful lot about who that person is and what those things mean to them. I have a friend, Colin Summers, who said that teaching his son about Santa Claus and then teaching him that there was no Santa Claus, can I say that? There was no Santa Claus, actually taught him, set him up for a basis for a lot of other conversations as he got older. When people would say, you know, Mel Gibson has a movie out, The Passion of the Christ, he would just say that some people have taken the belief in Santa Claus too far. For one of his children, that seemed like the right thing to do. For the other child, he felt that playing along with Santa Claus, even for a moment, would feel like lying. And that's because he's supposed to know his two kids better than anyone knows them and should deal with that. So, I mean, I've never had a drink of alcohol or a drug in my life. My mom and dad never spoke with me about alcohol or drugs. They didn't buy any of that government shit, talk to your kids. There was just never any drugs or any alcohol in the house. It was never discussed. It was never a temptation. It was never something we avoided. They just didn't do it. And that seemed just right. Our household has in it no superstition that we can find. If we find a little bit, we try to get smarter and get around it. I think that my daughter will have to have that deep in her heart as she grows up. And as far as what my conversations with my daughter will be, I don't know. I have to learn from her.
When I was a kid, my parents, I got interested in going to church. My parents let me. I went through the whole sort of training program. And when the time came to join the church, my parents kind of realized that maybe that would be the thing that would clinch the insanity. And so what they said was, okay, you've learned all of that stuff now, and when you're grown up, then you'll decide. And that really worked very well for me, you know. But they didn't. Neither of them was religious in the slightest. But they just handled it as human beings to human beings, and that makes sense.
You guys said it yourself. Without the JREF, without Randy, you guys wouldn't be here, and without you guys, we wouldn't be here. It's a nice little bootstrap operation, and we are so pleased to have you again. So please accept these. Thank you very much. It was wonderful.